Hello, Griffin Wildcats. Dr. Richardson here, and I'm going to bring to you a second step lesson. But before we get started, I always like to think about where I would like to go one day, and so this week I chose Costa Rica. So, can anybody in the class talk about where is Costa Rica? If you said Central America, you would be correct. So I looked up a couple of interesting facts about Costa Rica, and it is about 30% of Costa Rica is national parks. And they've got 6 volcanoes there. They've got beaches, they have mountains, they've got all kinds of animals that live there, sea turtles, sloth. I would love to see a sloth in its natural habitat. There's jungles, there's all kinds of different things to do. And it is also the capital for hummingbirds. It is, I thought that was really interesting. It's the hummingbird capital of the world. So I thought that was really cool because I love to look at hummingbirds. They're just so cute and they're so little and just really a lot of fun. So if you look behind me, you see this thing, you see a person hanging from a line, or looks like they're from a tree, but actually this is zip lining. So this is a big sport or big activity you can do in Costa Rica. I just think that would just be so cool to go through the jungle on a zip line. So anyway, so there's that. So now we're going to go ahead and get started. Last week or 2 weeks ago, in our last lesson through second step, we learned the difference between thoughts and emotions and how they're connected to our decisions. And in the classroom, the reading teachers have been gracious enough to allow me to come in. And one of the big topics that we talked about were choices. So this is connected again to those choices, those decisions that can influence our future, whether that future be short or that future can be in high school or beyond. And so again, this is, we learn the difference between thoughts and emotions and how they're connected to our decisions or choices. So, as you can remember, an emotion is a feeling such as happiness or fear. A thought is what you say to yourself into your head. It's like those thoughts that go before the emotion, or it kind of leads up to the emotion. So, today's lesson, we'll learn to distinguish between helpful and unhelpful thoughts and how they affect our decisions, because they do, because they stir up some emotions and it could cause us to behave in a way that might not be for our best. So write down one situation that could happen at home or school that would cause someone to feel a strong emotion. So remember, strong emotion is feeling angry or sad or frustrated. Those are some different strong emotions. So here are some examples that could cause strong emotions: getting in trouble, arguing with a friend or a family member, losing a sports game. I mean, that hurts. When you lose a game, it hurts. And so you could be in a place where you're frustrated and angry. So we're going to move into our lesson. So, foul mood. In a basketball game against their rival school, a player on the opposing team runs into Anthony by accident and knocks him to the ground. To his surprise, the referee calls a foul on Anthony, and the coach pulls him out of the game. Anthony feels angry. As a class, why don't you discuss some different emotions that you might feel if you were in this situation? So here's the what if. What if Anthony decides to protest his coach's decision by yelling at his referee and his coach? What thoughts could lead him to make this decision? So, as a class, take a second, pause the video, and think about what thoughts could lead him to make this decision or this choice. What'd you come up with? Did you come up with, this is so unfair? This wasn't my fault. How many of you could relate to some of those possible thoughts that you could have? What if instead Anthony decides to take a few slow breaths and go to the bench. No, he's calming down. Remember, we've talked about before ways to control your emotions, which is your downstairs brain, ways to calm that down so you can think and make decisions and move forward. So what thoughts could lead him to make this decision? So as a class, discuss this. Possible thoughts could be, my coach will have my back. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this. My coach has got my back. This is fine. Coach and I will take a look at the game tapes later. So those are some possible thoughts that he could have once he calmed down and took a deep breath and had these possible thoughts. He decided to go back to the bench. So there were two scenarios. And so as a class, talk about the thoughts and then talk about how that affected the decision. So tumbling down, here's another situation. For a long time, Nia has been the best tumbler in her gymnastics class. Now her friend Jasmine, who has been practicing hard, is doing longer and tougher tumbles than Nia. Nia's feeling jealous. What are some helpful and unhelpful thoughts Nia could have in this situation? So as a class, talk about this. What are some things that Nia, some helpful thoughts Nia could be having and some unhelpful thoughts that she could be having in this situation? So pause the video and you guys can discuss this. So here's the activity, and I know we can't really actually do this because, social distancing and so forth, but I want you to think about and write, what is the situation? What just happened? What are some emotions that the situation might cause? And think about those helpful and unhelpful thoughts that Nia might have. And what decisions might come out of those if she had each of those thoughts. So you could make a flow chart. It looks something like this, where you would write the situation. Nia's been in gymnastics for a long time. Her friend Jasmine joins, and Jasmine's been working really hard. And so that's the situation. What are some strong emotions that might come out of that? So you can draw this on your paper. And I think this is a really good flow chart, a really good way for you to understand this. So write some helpful thoughts that she could be having from this, and then some possible decisions that could come out of the helpful thought. On the flip side, out of those strong emotions, what are some unhelpful thoughts that she could have? And then what possible decision could come from that unhelpful thought? So we'll leave this up for just a second. And as a class, you may want to pause this video at this point and go through this flow chart, go through each of these and help students process how thoughts do influence our decisions. So now we're going to wrap up. So go back and look at your response to the warm-up question that we asked. And go through this exercise. What was one helpful and one unhelpful thought you could have from this situation? What decision might you make as a result of these thoughts? We spent a lot of time on choices and how choices that you make today can influence your future. So this is a perfect tie-in with what we've been talking about in class, and how your present impacts or influences your future. And the main goal is for you to stop and reflect and use that thinking part of your brain. So enjoy this time with you, and I hope you have a great day.